Everyone, my name is McKenna Reitz. You can connect with me on Instagram, McKenna Reitz, or at www.mckennareitz.com. And you've been listening to Conversations with Pearl.
Hello, sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a storm of a relationship. Lost my fire. Oh, and I forgot about me for way too long. But it's rolled on. Now there ain't no shade around here. Once you leave the clouds, you're under. Ain't it funny how there ain't no rain or clear? Why'd it take so long to leave you in the rearview mirror? Now nobody gonna steal my sunshine or turn my blue sky gray. All I know is at the end of the day, wildflowers grow when there ain't no shade.
Hey everybody, I am so excited to have you on our Conversations with Pearl podcast. We have an amazing guest, and if you think you can't overcome anything, let me tell you, this guest is going to kick you in your butt and tell you, look in the mirror because you can overcome anything. Nothing stops in her way and nothing stops in your way. So today I'm really excited to introduce our guest today, McKenna Reitz. She teaches AP psychology. She coaches varsity volleyball, which is something I could never do. I was always too short and scared. And she's an inspirational speaker and a challenge coach. She works with men and women to help them reframe life's challenges into gifts and opportunities so they can pursue their purpose with clarity and confidence. So after losing her hair due to alopecia, McKenna uses her journey of having an autoimmune disease to help others overcome loss in their life by resetting the mindset of their loss into growth and opportunities into their lives. So teaching AP psychology and coaching varsity volleyball for the past 16 years, McKenna is residing currently in Toledo, Ohio, with her husband, Greg, and her two beautiful daughters, Carson and Maddox. McKenna has been featured in Global Women magazine, Thrive Global, Healthy Women, Medium, Love What Matters, featured on the list, and ABC, CBS, NBC, and Cheddar. So McKenna, welcome. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be on Conversations with Pearl. Thank you so much.
We are so excited to have you. So let's get right into it. I met you before through Clubhouse, which has been just amazing. And to our listeners who don't have the ability yet to join Clubhouse, wait till you can, because you meet amazing people, you make amazing connections like what McKenna and I have made, and other amazing people and women, and just stories to hear, right? And McKenna's story really touched my heart because, as you guys know, I'm all about self-care and about guiltless self-care and not letting challenges stop us from what we have inside. Because I really believe we all have a gift, and we need to see that gift that we all have. God's given us that gift for a reason, right? So we need to pull that out. And when you don't share your gift with us, you're cheating the world of something beautiful. So McKenna, I want to talk about, tell us your path. Like, when did everything start happening? When did you start seeing changes and realizing that alopecia was going to become part of your life now?
Yeah. In 2015, I had our second child. We had Maddox in May of 2015. And I had noticed August is when my really stressful time really starts. Volleyball season starting, school is starting, lots of different things going on. And I, started to notice my shoulders being covered in hair, just shedding. And I thought it was just normal postpartum hair shed, but it was a little excessive this time. And so I went to a dermatologist and they said, well, there's a chance you could lose all your hair. I'm like, excuse me, like what? So we tried all topical creams, women's Rogaine, and on November 1st of 2015, little did I know that I'd be taking the very last picture with hair. And it was actually at our family pictures for our Christmas card. And within a week and a half, I remember standing in the shower and just standing there, and I was holding just clumps of hair in my hands. And it was just such a surreal moment. And by the end of November, 90% of my hair had fallen out. It was an unreal quick journey of 4 weeks where my hair was practically gone. It started to recede back. I tried everything to hide it, from headbands to hair fibers to makeup, everything. and nothing was working. And I tried medicines to help, but they compromised my immune system and that wasn't working. I did steroid injections in my scalp for 6 months weekly. That was terrible and, so uncomfortable, until I just finally made the decision just to stop. After about 8 months, I stopped any type of invasive medications in order to help grow my hair. And I think when I made the decision consciously to stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on my attitude about the problem, things started to really transition for me.
Wow. And yet that's so powerful, right? Talking about, you talk about reframing life challenges and to have to reframe that whole attitude. It's like, and just like when you hear about women getting mastectomies, that hair is a big part of who we are, and to have to, in less than 4 weeks, to make that huge transformation and to go through that. So what was that like for you? Like, walk us through that. And when did you decide that? Because I know when you and I talked before, you had done a wig for a little bit and then you just made that drastic decision to not to do that any longer, right?
Yeah. It's funny, whenever something happens to people, the first thing that they say is, it just takes time. And that is probably the worst thing that you could ever say to someone, because you don't want it to take time. I prayed every night that I would wake up and either my hair was back or I was 100% confident and comfortable and going to rock the bulb. Neither happened. And nothing ever happens overnight. And what I want people to understand is it's taken me time to get to this point, to be able to sit in front of you and talk authentically me. Since I was 5 years old, I was known for my hair. I had the thickest, most beautiful brown, long, wavy hair. And so literally my identity was ripped away from me. And I truly kept thinking, what is society going to think about me? What are my girls going to, think about having a mom who doesn't have hair? Is my husband still going to love me? How are my students going to react to me? And so I was hiding. I wasn't hiding it because I made the decision right when I started losing my hair. I told my students, I said, hey guys, I'm going to start look differently. I'm going to wear headbands now. My hair is falling out. We don't know why, but that moment was, everyone's asked, when was the defining moment? That was the defining moment because I didn't have to completely hide. And I was in denial. I was in denial for a long time, but I kind of wore a survivor buff covering my head for probably about 5 months. And then I made the decision to go buy a wig. And I kept pushing it off because I felt that if I put a wig on, I was accepting the fact that my hair wasn't coming back. It was such a mind journey that I had to go through because I was so concerned. If I buy a wig, then I'm accepting it. And I don't want to accept it because I'm a problem solver. As women, we want to solve the problem. We want to be in control. And I was out of control. I didn't have control of the situation. And so I made the decision to buy a wig, and it gave me a sense of just relief where I could go to the grocery store and no one would look at me differently. And I could just walk. I could just blend right in because other than that, I was wearing a baseball cap and you could tell, I had so many people come up to me and asking me, are you going through treatment? Do you have cancer? Can I pray for you? And I would tell them, no, thankfully I don't. And at first it would really bother me, but now it's just my opportunity to bring awareness to alopecia. It took me 4 years until June 2019 for me to finally make the decision to walk out bald. And it was the scariest moment of my life, but I did it at the National Alopecia Areata Foundation conference in Seattle. And so I was surrounded by people who knew what I was going through, could empathize with me, and supported me unconditionally. And I haven't looked back since.
That's amazing. And to have that support, like, it's so important to, no matter what we're walking through in life, is to have that support and somebody who like understands and can be that support system, and just like, in some cases, just hold your hand and just say, hey, I know what you're going through. Let me walk with you. Right. It's so important. And like you said, you have 2 daughters, right? And to empower them to be like, I'm going to walk in who I am. I'm going to bring forward who I am, and I'm going to own this. Right. And so how was your daughter's reaction to see you no longer doing the wig?
So my oldest was 3 when I started losing my hair. So she's watched the process. She was, conscious during the whole transition, where my youngest daughter was only about 4 or 5 months old. So she has no recollection of me having hair. And so this is all she's known. they've been amazing. And it's exactly what you said. They have been my reason why. My mom always said, how do you get up every day? In the very beginning, I said, there's no other choice. I have 2 young daughters that are watching my every move, and I need them to accept themselves and to know their worth and their beauty. I need to do the same. I was hiding a lot, really kind of bottling a lot of things in and just kind of putting on a front for them, but I knew I had to. But it was really kind of fascinating. I remember Maddox, my youngest, was about 3 years old, and we got into the car, and I don't remember what we were doing, but I ripped my wig off because I was so hot and itchy and they were so uncomfortable. And she said, Mom, I can't wait to be an adult and take my hair off too.
Wow.
And I just stopped. That was the beginning of the end for me, of this is how a 3-year-old views it, that being an adult is amazing because you get to do this really cool thing and take your hair off. That's all she's viewed it.
Right.
And they have been absolutely, we talk about it almost every day. I talk to my youngest because she's now in kindergarten, and how do you feel about having a bald mom? And, she'll talk about, well, I think you're beautiful. Like, she doesn't see any difference. And that's my goal, is I want them to be able to see diversity as beauty in our world. And that when we face adversity, that we can get through anything, because alopecia can be genetic. And so what if it does happen to them? I need to know that they had a mom who was strong enough to get through it, and so can they.
And that's so powerful, because our young men and, girls and boys, right, they need to know that they have inner strength and inner beauty, and you're showing them, like, you are empowering them to be like, we don't have to have hair, we don't have to have some of that outer beauty that we think we have, right? Because you can have so much beauty on the inside, and when we hide it and bottle it, like we were saying at the beginning of the show, we're cheating the world of it, right? And we're not. To empower your daughters, like, now, to recognize that we all are beautiful no matter how we look on the outside. If we could just bottle that up and give it a little dose to everybody in this world, I think we would be in such a better spot in our society.
Absolutely.
That's so powerful.
Yeah. So my oldest just turned 9, and she's at that vulnerable age where she's starting to compare herself to everyone else. And so that's why, I need to be 100% open and honest and authentically me, and to make sure every day I'm telling them how beautiful they are and how smart they are and how talented they are, so they believe it. And it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes life challenges for us to understand what our gift is, and for us to finally say, I'm done with this. Like, I'm going to be truly me. And if I can get that to be started earlier in their life, I'm going to be a happy mom.
I think that's awesome. So let's talk about some of the resources. You talked about the Alopecia Society, the event you went to. So for those that are listening that may be struggling with alopecia, what are some of the best resources that helped you along the way? And what advice, at the same time, what advice would you give to somebody that is starting to walk the journey that you've been walking?
First of all, I want them to know that they're not alone. I felt like a woolly mammoth because I'd never heard of it before. I'd never known of another female who didn't have cancer be bald. And so I felt so alone. And what I want people to understand, alopecia affects 7.1 million Americans. It has gone up by 200,000 since 5 years ago when I first saw this statistic. It affects 147 million worldwide are going to be affected by alopecia somehow, some way. It was a trial and error for me to find resources. You lean on people, you lean on to support system, your family, your friends, coworkers, therapists. I've gone to therapists. Talking is a big one. I did go into some alopecia support groups on Facebook. It was not for me. There was a lot of negativity. I like to surround myself with positivity and that people that are going to encourage. And so I got out of those quickly, especially at the beginning of my journey. And I also started following a lot of people on Instagram, just seeing their confidence and seeing what kind of wigs they're wearing and where to get them and how, what are different styles, because I had no idea. And then I discovered the National Alopecia Areata Foundation, also known as NAF, NAAF. It's just naf.org. And their ultimate goal is to support anyone who's battling alopecia. And there's many different types of alopecia. They're also working on research. There's lots of clinical trials that are going on. And the goal is, I believe by 2022, to have a medication for FDA approved. And so our goal is not only research, but to bring as much support to everyone, regardless of age, because it doesn't discriminate towards age, gender, ethnicity. It can happen to anyone and everyone. And so, again, I just say reach out to people, especially people who've gone through it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and just lean on people and just continue talking.
That's awesome. And I think for anybody would reach out to you, you are such, you have such a bright spot and such a caring heart. And it just comes through. I mean, I follow you on Instagram and, like I said, we talked in Clubhouse, and you're so genuine. And I think it's so important because especially somebody that might be new in that journey, it can be scary, I'm sure too, and having somebody like you that be like, just reach out, or having a society like you said NAFA, right?
Yeah, now.
Yeah, so we'll make sure we put that too. We'll post that, so anybody that's watching and listening, we'll make sure that link is in there as well. So let me ask you this: what's a common myth about alopecia that you'd like to debunk?
That our autoimmune is compromised. I am perfectly healthy, and so the biggest fear was when COVID hit. My worrisome was that my immune system was compromised and that I could get sick easily. Unless you're on medication to help to regrow hair, I am perfectly healthy. That's it. And I think, excuse me, I think was a big thing for me, is that I needed something physically to be wrong with me to explain it. There was no cause for it. Like, there was no physical ailment to cause it. It was just my immune system attacking my hair follicles and causing it to fall. Other than that, we are perfectly healthy human beings.
That's awesome. That's a great myth. So you guys hear that? You're perfectly healthy human beings. It's not some of those, that they're unhealthy. And so that's really important. I love that you shared that. So we're talking about guiltless self-care is something we really hone in on here with Women's Successful Living. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing on April 12th to the 18th, we're going to have a week of it's a free self-care retreat. So anybody can jump on. If you go to wsliving.com, you'll find more information about it. But part of what we'll talk about during that retreat is like really shackling in your boundaries and honing into what lane you want to be in. Where do you want to go with your message, if you own a business, whatever your dreams and goals are, like really shackling that in. And sometimes shackling your boundaries also means you have to remove things and or people from your life, right? That are not a positive force in your life. While you were going through this journey, did you run into that? Did you have any of those challenges where you had to be like, you know what, you're not supportive, or you're the naysayer? Did you have to make any changes with those who were surrounding you?
It's fascinating. I think in the past year, I think I've done it myself because I finally found my purpose. And, my purpose is to, one, share my story, but two, also to help others take their life challenge and turn it into an opportunity. And so I love to surround myself with people who are going to lift me up, who are going to inspire and challenge me. And I think we just start to excavate people in your life. And I think it's just, who is focusing on the past and who's focusing on the future, who is going to help push you towards your goals and your purpose. And I think just slowly I've started to excavate and kind of transition and surround myself with people that are going to challenge me and help me along my way. I think that's the biggest shackle that I've had was, being around people that might hold me back. And other than that, I've been pretty blessed.
That's awesome. I love the word excavate. Like, that's so powerful. Like, and you can physically see that, like excavating, part of my journey, those who've listened before know my story about having to excavate my father from my life. So it's just, that's really powerful. And I'm so excited that you are the example for your daughters and for other, young and or old that are walking through this, this alopecia walk with you and soon maybe even beside you. And I love watching what you're doing and bringing it out to the world. And so one of the things we like to talk about here is that I believe that everybody is an oyster. Yeah, my name is Pearl. And so of course there's a little twist on my name, but I really feel like we're all like an oyster and we're just ready to pop that shell. And inside we each have a pearl. So can you tell me and our audience, at what point in your life did you realize that your inner pearl, this is what you're going to bring out to the world? And at what point did you say, this is what I'm going to do with it? And what are you doing with it?
For the past couple of years, I've been wanting to say, I want to be a TEDx speaker. I want to write a book. I want to be an inspirational speaker, but there wasn't much action plan to it. It wasn't until probably 6 months ago where I finally said, I am going to be a TEDx speaker. I am going to be an author. I am an author. I'm eliminating those. And I think that was the biggest, that's my inner pearl. That's my oyster, is where I can finally say 100% confidently that I am enough. I am worth it. And sometimes, I use social media in order to help others, but also it's therapy to me, reminding myself and validating that what I'm feeling, will help others as well as helping me. But I am confident now, 100%. This is me. This is authentically me. And I'm proud of who I am.
I love that. And you guys hear that? She's saying, I am. It's like, we have a small group we do every Sunday. It's called our Shiro Tribe. And we get together every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. And anybody can join, as long as you're a female, you can join us. And so it's so much fun. And right now we just finished up the first quarter of the year doing a manifestation of journaling. And so I had somebody say in the group, I said, okay, so what's going to happen for you this month? And they said, well, I'm hoping to have, I'm like, no. What's going to happen? And they're like, I don't understand. I'm like, okay, let me explain to you. I'm doing this free retreat. I am going to have 10 people from the retreat realize that the power of our class is something they're going to want to continue with it. I said, so I am going to have 10 people. She goes, what if? I go, there's no what if. I said, I am. I said, and if you start manifesting that and you see that will start happening. So she got it. She was writing. And this past Sunday, we tried here in Florida to do a sunset picnic on the beach. Now, I know you're in Ohio. So when we say in Florida it's cold, you guys all laugh at us, right? But we did try to do a sunset picnic on the beach. And it was like 55 degrees outside, the wind blowing at the ocean, but we all still went. We went to the ocean. We all had jackets on. My friend from Canada is like, you guys have winter coats on. I'm like, well, it was a little chilly for us Floridians, but we were there and we did our weekly check-in. And I said, so where's everybody at? We're finishing up our journals. And Margot said, I am going to have my last fourth person this week that I wanted to have. I go, you didn't want to have, you knew you were going to have. She's like, yes, you're right. So she's got her 4 people onto her team that she wanted to grow a team with. So I love that you said I am. I think that's so powerful. So, all right. So here's what we're going to do before we wrap up our podcast here. I shared with McKenna before we got on that we have this fun thing we do. We pull a card, and it's from the cards called Better Questions, Better Life. You guys hear me talk about it. I journal over these questions. You can go to betterquestionsbetterlife.com. They're one of our supporters, but I take these cards out and I journal. And I was sharing earlier before we got hopped on that my card today was, what do I appreciate about me? And what I appreciate about myself is that I see the glass half full. I manifest and say, I'm going to do this. I am doing that. I see it and I believe it. Right. So what we're going to do, McKenna, is I'm going to just shuffle the cards. You're going to tell me when to stop. And then we're going to talk about that card. And then we'll have a discussion before we end up. Okay. So tell me when to stop.
And stop.
All right. So let's see what she's got. Ooh, this is a good one. I think we kind of did this with Inner Pearl, but I'm sure you could think of something else too. What am I grateful for?
Too much. I'm going to do 2 things. I am grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my husband for loving me unconditionally, who said, McKenna, it's only hair. And for me taking 5 years to understand that it really was only hair to him. And for my parents who've been my rocks, been my support system through this hell of a journey. And then I'm also grateful for my mindset to see the positivity. It's kind of, seeing the glass half full, but I find silver linings in every situation. And, from the pandemic to, hybrid teaching to not having hair, it takes me 5 minutes to get ready in the morning. you'll never know how old I am because I'll never have gray hair. I don't have to shave. It's finding silver linings in everything, because then you can find the positivity. And sometimes it's really difficult to find that silver lining, but dig deep, because once you do, that it totally changes and reframes that mindset.
That's so true. I mean, once you realize like you've got this, and like, you know what your road is, right? That it's like, wow, you just go out and you just bring it to the world. It's like everything just starts happening the way, you're TEDxing, you're speaking, you're doing all those things that you're going to do, right? I think it's just so powerful. So I want to thank you for joining us today, McKenna. And I want you to share with everybody, how can they find you? What do you have upcoming? If there's anything upcoming they need to be searching for you on, and go ahead and share with all of us.
Thank you so much. This has been such an amazing conversation, and what you're doing to empower women and to really promote self-care is so important, that I'm just truly grateful for what you're doing for women. Anyone can find me on any social media. McKennaReitz.com is my web address, but Instagram is the best way. You can just DM me. April 17th, I'm going to be giving my TEDx talk in Philadelphia, and it'll come live May 27th or 22nd. And then my book is going to be published. It'll be launched June 22nd.
Awesome.
So really, and it's called Are You Having a Bad Hair Day?
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm so excited. I can't wait to grab a copy of it. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I can't wait. So many great things to come in a TEDx talk. And look at that. You said you were, and you are, and now you got to think of those new I ams, right? So it's so amazing. So I want to thank you so much again, McKenna, for joining us. You guys have been listening to Conversations with Pearl. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Women's Successful Living. And you can also find us at wsliving.com. But we're so excited you guys joined us today. And remember, go out and find your inner pearl to greatness.
Hello, sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a